Addressing stiffness in the forearm musculature is easy to do and definitely a plus. When we have people who have problems on their elbows and wrists, we often forget the connecting tissues. What I've got here is a little bit of an elevated surface. This can be a couch, a chair, a bench, and then I've got a peanut and then a single lacrosse ball. And even if I were just to use my own weight, it's easy to be able to work and use the shape of the peanut to my advantage. So what we've got is just a couple minutes on the clock, and what we want to do is address stiffness in these musculatures and in this tissue system. And notice, I have a little bit of a wrist problem, but notice that I can also get my wrist off the bench or the counter in this position. I get my weight over here, and what I like about being a little bit lower is that it allows me to work on the wrist with a straight arm and a bent arm, which changes the dynamics a little bit. So here I'm working mainly on the extensors, and I just pushing and pulling, adding in and trying to get as much movement through this very, very tight tissue sheath as I can. So you can think about trying to grow the glove around some of the musculatures and stiffness and the soft tissues of the forearm just by trying to free up the circumferential fascia by addressing it as a complete system. So I'm moving my wrist in my available range, making sure that my fingers are working, and then I'm really going to be at the limits and the creativity of what it feels like I need to do. So for me, I like a lot of weight, I sink in, and then I just move a little bit back and forth. I try to roll through the little tunnel and the notches created by the actual peanut here. And the goal here is just to get as much work as I can in these extensors. I also can create a stack with another ball if I need, if I feel like I've got a certain area that needs a little bit of work. And of course I can just work on one side. If I only have a single ball, that'll work too. But I'll tell you that this peanut setup tool is a wonderful way to address stiffness in the tissue system, particularly in the extensors. Now, the anatomical position is hands by side, which unwraps the bones. So in this situation, my radius is crossed over my ulna, so the outside arm bone is crossed over the inside. And so if I were to work in this position, that would be fine. I just may not get everything that I'm after here. So again, I really prefer to work on this shape and this position. Got a couple minutes done. I'm going to flip to the other side. And in this position, you can see I have a little bit more wrist action, but again, I'll just settle in. I can even start at the elbow. What we'd rather you do is think about this as maybe not something that ever should be done at the gym unless you're feeling, whoa, I lost my grip today, or I was pumping out on the forearm. But our grip is constantly taxed as human beings, and we sometimes forget how easy it is to improve the efficiency of a system once that system becomes a little bit stiff. So all I'm doing is restoring sliding, and believe it or not, this is a feel-good mobilization. To roll my forearms on there, it feels like what I wish someone would do to me all the time. You know, if I'm like, just someone could just take care of my forearms. What you'll notice is that even things test better, like grip strength. And so again, what we believe is that a lot of times these forearms get really stiff, and if we're talking about a tissue system in the body that probably gets the least amount of love, it's certainly the forearms. And considering how robust the tissue system is, it's pretty remarkable that we get as few problems as we actually do, even whether it's the quer veins or even up top. So feel free to get some big pressure and then just move around, and your goal is to try to collect 2 minutes aside. We're coming up on our 2-minute mark here. You can certainly extend this out, but we'd rather you have a dose and response, and this could be something that you actually come back to quite often. So if you're suffering from anything that rhymes with carpal tunnel dysfunction or elbow pain, or you're stiff, or your hands are grippy, don't forget that opening up the tissue tunnels of your forearms can do a lot to improve your performance and make you feel better.